that their life is all they know. They're just accustomed to their lifestyle. And for them, the struggles that we look at and we perceive as struggles are not struggles for them. It's just all they know. And privilege to a lot of people, could be taken advantage of.
There is a study of two equally low socioeconomic populations, and if you're in a family that's just met or had interactions with richer people, like literally about 3 times when you're young, you will grow up to be richer than the people who haven't in the exact same socioeconomic level. So just like even knowing that it's possible is like humongous. So, and that goes back to the estate agent, right? He took that risk because he knew there was a possibility that he couldn't change his life.
Eliud Kipchoge thing, the under 2 hour marathon or whatever, that's the exact same thing. When someone does it, they figure out it's possible. I think that the least productive thing that you can do is frame something as being unproductive and not think about it in a productive manner. That's because I think that anyone can do anything that is productive at any point in time. And whether it's, doing a dump for 20 minutes, whether it's driving a car for 7 hours, or whatever it is, I actually think that anything can be productive enough if you frame it in a productive way. That's also an extension of the truth, delusional, and also hyper-rationalizing, but it's better than thinking about it in a negative way and a waste of time only.
Believing what is useful is more important than believing what's true. What I have reframed is last year I had a bowel operation. My bowel flipped and detached. And so I was in hospital for over a week. And then for the next few months, I couldn't really walk or anything. And that isn't objectively negative thing to happen, but kind of having to go through fears of that, when I was in hospital, and kind of build my way back up, and what I've learned from that, and your gratitude for health. I now look back at that as a positive thing. I'm sort of happy it happened because of what I gained from it. And I always think with reframing is a good kind of summary of that is if you can feel bad for no reason, why not feel good for no reason? I feel like that statement just kind of disregarded all that we've been speaking about for the last 40 minutes. But fair
facts.
We summed it up.
We summed it up well. Yeah.
Cue Rashford celebration.
Yeah. If the nepotism fails, fall back on what we said, but try the nepotism first. That's it.
It works smart, not hard. Very true.
That's actually such a good point.
It's a great point. If nepotism doesn't work, then download the sculpture.
Facts. That's accurate. I'm happy just to roll from here, by the way. I reckon we just go straight into it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Well, welcome back to this episode of Sculpt Podcast, guys. This is the second episode with Jack, but the first episode with him as a co-host. So, I am so happy that I've got Jack as a co-host. I pitched it to him in a funny way because it kind of came out of nowhere, but I had a nice little presentation of Jack's face, and it was brilliant. And then also,
that's what won me
over. It was what won
you
over, yeah. And hopefully there's going to be another little person's face who we can win over very soon for a crazy episode. Maybe coming soon, we'll see. But there's some pretty cool things happening, and the branding did a little bit of a rebrand. I love a rebrand, don't we? So yeah, pretty excited. But you guys should know a little bit about Jack, and if you don't know a little bit about Jack, you can go watch a 45-minute documentary on Jack and me in Bondi.
Yeah. You don't know how much you'll get to know about me there, but
you'll get to know our humor at least.
Yeah, exactly right.
The funniest video, and guys, I've watched this 3 times already today, and it's actually it's 9:30 a.m. and I watched it 3 times. It's the funniest thing, and maybe it's only funny to us. I don't know, but it's brilliant.
But yeah, no, that's the most important thing, is it not?
Great point. Although, if we did want to scale, we probably need it to be funny to other people. But maybe they'll listen to this and they'll get our humor.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, I won't be returning for more episodes if they don't.
Well, you know what would be sick? Flying Jack out to Las Vegas. What do you reckon?
Oh, do the listeners know about you going to
Well,
Vegas
this
now?
will just come out by the time I'm in Vegas. So yeah,
Okay.
if you don't know, guys, I'm in Vegas. Well, I should be at
Yeah.
least. Let's hope all things go well, and I'm in Vegas. It should look like this set will look different for the next few years. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's hope so.
but definitely fly Jack out to a cheeky Las Vegas trip. Imagine us would be the most sensible people there.
The most unlike Vegas trip in Vegas
Literally.
ever to happen.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, let's wake up at 5 a.m. Go for a quick meditation and yeah.
Yeah, well, we'd be Goggins running in the Vegas desert.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's a desert.
as people are leaving the casinos in the morning. Yeah.
They're just giving us a tip, as they leave. That wouldn't be bad.
I'll take
Yeah, I'll
it.
take that. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Well, going into the episode structure. So, with Jack now on the podcast, we have taken a bit of a shift in what we're talking about. So, that's primarily because Jack and I have very, very intricate conversations about philosophical things, which is very on brand for Sculpted. Now, I'll kind of. Oh my, Jack. I
What?
just saw on the Notion page. Did you go into my hook?
Uh, wait, read your hook.
No. Okay, you can if you want, but look at the second one, and look what's there.
Q.
Was that you?
No, that was you.
Okay,
I thought, did he start writing and then not put
okay,
anything
it might have
else?
been me, but that looks like I must have clicked it and it deleted everything. Okay,
Can't you go Command Z? No?
because I just restarted my computer, it probably doesn't work. That's fine because I actually had it in another spot. So when you're speaking,
Yeah.
I'll go
I was
find
wondering, I was very, yeah, that's very unlike Nick
Yeah.
to only,
to only write Q. Well, it's all right. We'll make it work. And I did have it written in another spot, so backups.
fail to prepare to fail, Nick. Yeah. I
Always.
don't know why you're doing the celebration. That's
That's
you need to get your ideas in order, literally.
well, you can't not celebrate. Like the Marcus Rashford celebration's just iconic, and that's something that you're going to see more and more of, guys. Like you just see out of nowhere. If Jack and I say something that's just knowledgeable,
Yeah, so probably more Nick than me.
or just
Bring
a quote.
back your football career, hey?
Actually, bro, Val, who we used to do the podcast with, who's in Germany,
Yeah.
he's signed with a team in Czech Republic. They're looking for a goalkeeper, and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. I reckon if I was to come out of retirement, I could probably play for that team.
It wasn't he quitting?
I mean, he wasn't. No, so Liam and I were at the same time looking at it, and then Val was without a team, and it was like, I mean, Liam and I thought that he might, turn away from football.
So does he now have to move to the Czech Republic?
He's moved to the Czech Republic in this tiny little town. Actually, he plays in a tiny little town, but where he lives is different. So thankfully, it's not horrible. But yeah,
So if the Vegas move doesn't work, maybe you can go play as a goalkeeper. The third choice keeper for whatever team that is.
I would love to. And actually, you know what? I would be accepted there because my last name's Czech, so that works.
Oh, perfect. Bit of politics in your favour, hey?
And that's what we need. We need to shift the nepotism into our favour because nepotism will always be there.
Exactly right. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
And that's actually the first brilliant quote for today. That's the first brilliant quote for today. There we go.
That'll be the one and only.
No, there'll be more. There'll be more. And we're just going to hit these ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right. Well, looking at the episode for today, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think that most people who listen to this podcast or just know me would know Jack. So I hope that this translates pretty smoothly. That, yeah, Jack's just here now because we have done an episode before. So it kind of works well. And then also, just that video that we posted this morning, that just feels like it's, yeah, it was perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But to go through my first hook, actually, you know what? Maybe Jack, you want to go through yours first, just because I might try and get my other one. Do you want to go through yours?
Okay, sure. Well, I had sort of based mine upon on yours,
Okay.
but it sort of makes sense if I introduce it
Yeah.
anyway. And we've kind of spoken about this in our chats just each
Yep.
week, is the importance of privilege and and how that is almost a foundation to build success off. And like the fact that we like where we live as well is the top 0.001% in the world of the privilege that we
Yep.
have. So we have an unbelievable opportunity to make the most of
Yep.
that. But I think the sort of important thing to note there is regardless of what your privilege is and your background and kind of that gives you the foundation to achieve the outcome. But I don't think the process of what success is changes at all.
Mm.
Whether you've got amazing privilege or you're still just starting out and really trying to like make ends meet, that sort of like mindset to get from one place to the other. I think that's why the Sculpted app I think is so important, and like why we have sort of like got close over the years is because we both have that mindset that regardless of the situation, it's like what you can control and like the process, like it's the same for everyone.
That's a very good point. One thing that, because you really enlightened me, you could say, onto point of privilege. And it was probably about 2 years ago when we spoke about when I first got Whoop, and you said, "Oh yeah, have you tried gratitude journaling?" And I tried it for like a week, and I remember like it told me that it like made my recovery worse, and we both laughed about it. And then I started to keep doing it, and my recovery went absolutely downhill. But I became more aware of like how privileged I am, and I always had a sense of awareness because there's a reason why I feel a duty to work so hard. But recently, when I did the video pieces for the company that I work for, they go to India and they do a lot of like charity stuff there. They have a gym that they made for a local community in India, and really interesting. And my perspective on privilege has kind of changed a little bit, and it's got to do with especially those types of people who don't know anything but India. And it's really, really interesting to see that their life is all they know. They're just accustomed to their lifestyle, and for them, the struggles that we look at and we perceive as struggles are not struggles for them. It's just all they know. And privilege to a lot of people, well, could be taken advantage of. And actually, Jack, have you been to any like impoverished countries before?
I went to Fiji for a football tour.
Oh yeah, okay.
And we spent time with like villagers
Yeah.
of the Fijian, and what struck you was how happy they were
Yeah.
as well. And I mean, I was probably too young to really soak it up at that stage, but like you're saying, it is because it's all they know. It is that they have that sort of gratitude and that perspective, like innately almost.
That's a very good point. It is almost innate, and that's when it's like all you know. Can we actually use that in a good way for ourselves? Can we like create an environment where all we know is something, and that benefits us in a specific way? I think that's actually kind of what we do, right?
Yeah, and that's, I think awareness of that is probably the most important thing. So like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yep. Have you heard of that? So it's what we probably talk about a lot is probably the higher sort of like self-awareness and self-actualization and all that. But to be able to achieve that, you need the kind of like basic foundations of like food, water, family, like social connection, all of that. And I think, being aware, like you said with the gratitude, being aware of it can be a powerful motivator as well. And I definitely find it as a powerful motivator for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you very much on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because it does, where we are, most of those things are taken care of, which means that we can have the pursuit of working on the higher things in that list. Whereas a lot of people, and also it brings a lot of uncertainty when you are working on those specific things. Whereas, down low at the very bottom, it also brings a similar level of uncertainty, but they will never know what that uncertainty is like at that next level, and neither will we know what it's like at that lower level. I've been there before in Germany, though, not to the extent of, in India, but I've had a glimpse of what it's like, to live in Frankfurt, for example, and that if you know anything about Frankfurt, if you've heard anything about Frankfurt, it's not Germany. It's basically like Compton, and it's in America, and it's like it's like living in, I don't know, Baghdad or something. It's it's wild. That's even so privileged of me to say.
No, but I think it is that experience is valuable to have, right? So and that's the thing. I think with that, and I thought I had a sort of same experience pursuing football in overseas as well. Is that when you're back here and you've got all the lower foundations of like social connection and like food, drink, water, everything, all the stuff that you used to take for granted. I think it is, it's good to be reminded of that.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point, because like we only know what we know, and therefore if we want to know what it's like to experience the exact opposite, a great way to realize it is through living it yourself rather than through like watching it. I do think though that like the India stuff really woke me up when I was watching it, because like I was watching some people with diabetes get their legs amputated, and the guy who I was editing the videos for, and he was videoing it, he's there videoing everything, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm the editor. I'm the person who has to edit the bad moments out. And it's like, normally you don't see the bad moments because that gets edited out. And all of a sudden, I'm the editor dictating what goes in and what doesn't go in. And I actually tried to include a really powerful moment where the person was getting a wound like healed up, and you just hear them screaming. They've got nothing. The guy is just holding his wife's hand, and they're just in a random little bed in India, and he's screaming. He's got nothing on, and it's right in his like pelvis area, and he's got just a hole there, and they're just like trying to mend the wound. And I included this part specifically in the edit that I was making, and I got rid of the visuals but kept the audio, and you just hear this guy screaming for pain.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And that it is that health as well. Without your health, it just you literally have nothing. Yeah. But then again, it's very hard to when you do get wrapped up in, like, definitely you and I, like, we're very wrapped up in our own endeavors and busy. It's so easy to forget that.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
And also, health is one of the things where if you neglect it, you might not feel it straight away, but in 5-6 months down the line, even 20 years down the line, like tapeworms, bro. We thought my dog had tapeworms, and I'm thinking, well, imagine if I get tapeworms and I figure out 30 years down the line that my intestines been eaten out by tapeworms. You don't think about these things.
Yeah, that's not fantastic. Does your dog have tapeworms?
No, thankfully not. But we all ate some little tapeworm chocolates to make sure that the tapeworms were killed after it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If there were any tapeworms in us, go on. Thank goodness.
Good excuse to have some chocolate.
I actually still have that tapeworm chocolate. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. And one lucky listener will win it.
Yeah. That's a great sculpted.
That's the giveaway.
Yeah. In the sculpted app.
Sculpted merch. Sculpted tapeworm chocolate.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. It's just gonna have like some picture of like some philosopher on the front of it, and just a bit of sculpted writing, and it's just gonna say, tapeworm.
Yeah. Sculpt yourself with tapeworm chocolate.
Oh my days, that's brilliant. Okay, so privilege. Do you want to go into your example that you've got?
Sure. Sort of on the same, kind of expanding on how privilege is a foundation, but it also, with privilege, you don't have that activation energy to actually like make a change. because it's almost with that awareness, you can be comfortable and be like, because you do have everything you do need. So it is comfortable. And there are so many examples of people who've needed to. It's the region beta paradox that we spoke about
Great
before.
chat.
Is that yeah? Usually people have to wait until it gets really
Mm.
bad for them to act, as opposed to if they just acted before it got really bad.
Yeah.
And there's a story about a New York real estate agent who he's the most successful real estate agent in New York now. There's like Netflix shows about him and everything. But he was when he first moved to New
Wait, is his name
York,
Donald
he was
Trump?
an act. No, no, not Donald Trump. I'm not going to use Donald Trump as the motivation. Not today. But yeah, he moved to New York as an aspiring actor,
Uh-huh.
and in between auditions, just to try and make ends meet, he got his real estate license and would spend all day just cold approaching people on the street, trying to like sell some business
Yeah.
or whatever. In that first year that he was doing real estate, he only made $9,000, and so he was desperate to be able to make his own real estate like agency to even try.
Mm.
Whereas if he had that foundation, or he probably would be relying on other
Yep.
things. And then I think 2-3 years down the line, he made a deal for $8.5 million.
Yeah, damn.
Then eventually shows started approaching New York estate agents, which he starred in, and then his acting career really helped him in that because he became so charismatic and his reputation, and now he's one of the most well-known estate agents in the world. And so it's almost, yeah, he needed that activation energy, and with privilege, do you have that desperation or the I don't know if you've got that desperation to take that risk.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story, and I've thought about that before, but I haven't actually heard a real life story of it, which is good that now I've got a story for that thought. And one of my examples that I give that I don't actually, I can't directly translate it, but it's the closest story that I have. And it's basically my old football coach when I first started playing football left his parents when he was in Africa. They're all addicted to drugs and everything, and he left at a really young age to pursue football. And, you know, quite arguably, he had no other choice but football, and that's what got him across the line, you know? He has no other choice but football.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, we can use that in a specific way to help us, but a lot of people don't have the awareness to realize that they don't have that same desperation. And I think that everyone's guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. That, you know, the desperation that I had a year ago may not be the same that I have now, but can we artificially make it there? I think that we can.
Yeah. And I always had with football definitely a like chip on my shoulder with that, is that you know how like from a young age people would be like, oh, the Brazilian kids in the favelas, they're desperate to make
Yeah.
it. They have to make it, which is true.
Mm.
And then I always thought of that as like, wait, so does that mean they work harder than me? But probably in a different way.
Yeah.
And even though like obviously I have the privilege over them, maybe I would work as hard as them, but it's different. It is life or death for them, and the urgency that they need to make it is different.
Mm. The interesting point, I think, like, their training doesn't mean that they're working harder than you. It doesn't mean that, you know, in the hour and 15 minutes of their training, who has the more efficient training session? It might actually be you most of the time. You don't know, right? But maybe the struggle
Yeah.
outside of football is where, quote unquote, they're working harder than you, but realistically, it's just like, that's just their life situation, and it is life or death.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
It is very true.
It,
But then again, it's also going back to your point about editing the video of the people in India, and almost they don't have a choice. I think it's really important that for people to even have that activation energy to act on it, you need to know that there's a possibility of better. And
Good point.
that there is a study of like two equally low socioeconomic like populations,
Hmm.
and if you're in a family that's just met or had interactions with richer people, like literally about 3 times when you're young, you will grow up to be richer than the people who haven't in the exact same socioeconomic level.
Wow.
So just like even knowing that it's possible is like humongous.
Mm.
So, and that goes back to the estate agent, right? He took that risk because he knew there was a possibility that he couldn't change his life.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
interesting though, because I wonder then how those people at the very beginning, it's kind of like the chicken versus the egg, right? The people at the very beginning, when they didn't know it was possible, I mean, I guess just through natural selection, if a million people were to do something, eventually one would get there, and then it kind of has a compound effect. One sees that it's possible because they did it. Okay, two more do it because it's actually the marathon, the Eliud Kipchoge thing, the under 2 hour marathon or whatever. That's the exact same
yes,
thing. When someone
yeah,
does
yeah,
it, they
and
figure out it's possible.
yeah, yeah. It that is, it's very interesting, and it sort of brings back like the importance of your mind as well
Mm.
over that, like being able to like really where you put your attention, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess the biggest like piece is the self awareness, because it's like if you don't have any self awareness there, then that's really destructive because you can't figure out where you are, where you want to go, what position can help you get any better, what can help you reframe it in a better way. It's very, very
but
important.
not even the self awareness. The I think it's pretty much what like the whole idea of the sculpted app
Hmm.
is those non-negotiable
Yeah,
basics that regardless of your life, if you did, and even if you don't know that you're doing, you'll notice
yeah,
change. So whether like if you exercise or you work hard or you try and you know what I
yeah.
mean, like even without like those tiny small changes, you kind of you see the effect before you realize, oh, I'm doing this. And and I think that's maybe how it started, was people kind of like, it was almost behaviors
Yeah,
first, and then they leveled up, and then you're like, okay, there is like, I can get better. I've seen the proof that I have got better.
that's a really good point, and that's actually what. And by the way, I can see that you're very, very you're very, very on tune with the sculpted app here, because you've made 2 references and I've made 0 so far. So thank you, Jack. I'll send the check later.
Yeah, I better get a percentage.
You're working your way. Don't worry.
I'll be sending the invoice straight after we get off this call.
Don't worry, guys. Jack will definitely get equity in the sculpted app, because there's no way that I can't let him get it. So I got.
Oh, perfect! It's on
It's
video
on
now.
video. Oh, you can blackmail me as well. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
No, but I think the gamification piece there is really, really important, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with the sculpted app, is to, because, and you know this, Jack, with behavioral psychology, where if I was to start off something new for the first time, I need a lot of gratification to tell me that I'm doing well, and then as you progress, that gratification should become less and less frequent as well, so that my tolerance to achieving reward is more delayed, and that creates a
yeah,
level of like I guess addiction for some people, but also just general progression for a lot.
yeah, yeah. And that is the biggest thing that I think definitely in our football careers we saw it, why it was so
Oh,
addictive,
that's a great point.
because the reinforcement was, it was like, it was variable, and then it was like in intervals. It
Mm,
wasn't based on how many games, it was just based on time, and it was variable across time.
yeah,
And that's why it was so addictive, because you were just craving that next. It's why gambling it has the same sort of reinforcement
yeah,
schedule. It's why gambling is so addictive too.
yeah, and you'd know as well.
So, and Nick will be able to comment on that after his trip to Vegas,
There we go.
when he's living in a casino.
You know what? It's probably a great chance that I'll be living in a casino. Gosh,
Why not?
why not? It'd be a nice place. Actually, they are really nice places, aren't they?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, perfect for you.
Yeah, great. I think that
Where were we?
the interesting thing about the football career for us, and like why we were so addicted, I also think that we started at pretty low level clubs and managed to work our way up every single year that it was like, even if our results weren't directly showing day to day, and they probably were, it was also just our results through every single time that we found a better team. Because when you look at it, Jack, every single time that you left and went to a new team, you leveled up. And for me,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you started off at what was the local one? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, thumbs up. How old
Oh,
was
okay,
I?
so yeah,
What, North Shore Mariners?
before North Shore Mariners.
We'll
No,
just say
before
North.
Hakoah.
Yeah,
Who did you play for?
before Hakoah. Oh,
Fraser Park. That's the team. Yeah, Portugal. Yeah. So you went from Fraser Park, Hakoah, North Shore Mariners, then Central Coast Mariners, and then MacArthur Bulls, then almost Brentford, and then
Yeah. Retirement.
Hampton and Richmond, then retirement.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly.
that's like the best progression. Like, that's more progression than I did. I just did it in a shorter period of time, where I went from not playing football to North Shore Mariners, and then North Shore Mariners to Sydney FC somehow, and then from Sydney FC to MacArthur Bulls, and the MacArthur Bulls to third division in Germany. Like, that's a really, really steep progression. And that's where it was like, that was so enforced in my narrative that it's like, yeah, look at me. Every single year I've leveled it up somehow. I don't even know how, but I have.
Yeah. And also I think why we connected as well, definitely when we met with football, is that it wasn't just the football leveling up that was addictive to us. I think because we work so hard away from training too, on our games and on our just holistic approach, it was almost, you could see that through your pursuit of football, you got so many other benefits.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a very important key point here is that Jack and I weren't emotionally attached to football in the later stages of our career. Like, I would say that I probably was emotionally attached when I first started, because it's just all I knew. And maybe that's the same with you, but I think that as we just grew a little bit older, we realized, if my happiness is linked to if the football team wins or not, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Or if a football coach who will be sacked in 3 months thinks I'm pretty good. It's a very flawed approach. But then again, you come back to privilege, right? We're privileged enough to be able to not have to put our lives in the hands of, a coach that will be sacked in a week.
And also, even on top of that, quite often not even the coach, right? It's like the people above the coach who don't even know anything about football. They can dictate whether you start or not. And that's basically, they're dictating your happiness. And, it works for some people. Like, there's a reason why football is such a big sport. And for Cristiano Ronaldo, it works pretty well. He probably has a lot of those same difficulties. But for him, it's being, supplemented by a massive salary. So, it's a give and take. And for him, it's that struggle that he goes through is very much worth it.
Exactly. But I don't know about you. I wouldn't regret anything about my football career because of what I learned as well. Like, the experiences I made, and the learnings of what hard work means, how to deal with setbacks, all that sort of stuff. So I think it does come back to process over outcome. I think.
Yeah, no, that is a really good point. It gave me a flashback actually to when I was flying over to Germany and sending you pictures in the aeroplane, and you were like, just be grateful that you're traveling across the world for football, because it's crazy. And
that it is.
I actually spoke to my mum about this yesterday. I was like, you know what? It doesn't feel like I actually played football in this life. Like, it feels like it's just another Nicholas Craddock who played football. And I started juggling the ball.
I totally... Yeah. I don't know about you, but because it's so... Well, I'm still playing for the university that I'm at. So, but I'm so take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Now. I could easily quit and not think about it, and you've quit and not thought about it. So it is. I feel the exact same thing. It feels like a totally different life that I was so obsessed with.
Yeah, but also on that same leaf, I think it was an easy transition for us both because we always had something that interested us. And for me, realistically, if I was to go down a more traditional route, I'd probably have gone through the same courses that you've gone through, Jack, as well. Because if I look at what I would have done clinically at a clinical level, and not that you want to do that, because we've got a business idea that we'll get you out of.
Yeah.
Best idea. But like, if I was to think about like on a clinical level, I'd probably just try and become a psychologist. I think because it just makes sense to someone like us, you know.
Yeah, but I think what football forced us to do was mature at a young age,
Yeah.
and what we've learnt from it is more than you can learn. And it's the same with you with business now. You can do a business degree for 3 years or whatever, but what you're learning by actually having the experience is, I think, a lot more valuable.
Yeah, I very much agree. Although I wouldn't take it to an extreme level where it's like if I knew absolutely nothing about business and refused to learn anything about business and just stayed completely ignorant and tried to learn by doing, I also think that's pretty flawed. But thankfully, we've got a lot of free resources that help people understand the logistics of business. But I've also, I ran my football career like a business through LinkedIn, right? Like if I wanted to get a trial, I'd go on my Excel spreadsheets and send out a bunch of emails. And that's very, business minded, but I didn't know it at the time. It was just like, that seemed like the logical thing to do. And I ran my business, training every day, the reflections each day, everything like that, gym, injury prevention. If I want to stay in the game longer, I got to do this and that. Yeah. We very much ran our football.
Exactly.
Careers.
Yeah. Every aspect of it. Yeah. Right? That's how we broke it down.
Yeah.
Which I think, that is, it brings it back to it. Like, that's why the transition was pretty easy. Yeah. And why like the lessons that we learned are like so applicable to other areas.
100%. I actually don't think that I've even mentioned in this podcast yet that I stopped playing football officially. So I kind of like let Liam
so people are waiting for your next team reveal, are they?
Yeah, guys. It turns out that I've signed for Terrigal FC.
They wouldn't take you, let's be honest.
Oh gosh. I was going for striker anyways. We know what my pace is like.
To be fair, you're a good runner.
Good runner. Yeah, good runner. Although, don't put me up in a sprint because, we're going to be doing that Somali chick from, I don't know. Have you ever seen that video of the Somali chick who, her her uncle was like the president of Somalia and they just chucked her in like an Olympic race or something like that?
And what? I'm guessing she came last by quite a bit.
Yeah, no, she came last by quite a bit. I'll play the video right now for the people who are watching it back because it's a funny clip. That's nepotism as well. Nepotism as we love nepotism.
Can that be a feature on the app?
Yeah, find
your nepotism score.
and what it does is like it shows you your inner circle and it says who works here and if you want to get a job with them. Yeah.
Oh,
that's a brilliant app.
That's actually a great feature.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Yeah, that's how can you actually the episode that you sent me with the Netflix guy from Stephen Bartlett was talking about how you can start to cheat your way into things. Nepotism is a brilliant way to start cheating your way into things, and that's what the Sculpted app can do. It can make you aware of where you can start cheating your way, and nepotism's a great way.
I feel like that statement just kind of disregarded all that we've been speaking about for the last 40 minutes. But fair
facts.
We summed it up.
We summed it up well. Yeah. You know,
cue Rashford celebration.
Yeah. If the nepotism fails, fall back on what we said, but try the nepotism first. That's it.
It works smart, not hard. Very true.
That's actually such a good point.
It's a great point. If nepotism doesn't work, then download the Sculpted.
Fact. You know, that's actually that is the game. And you know what? We've given both variable situations that are probably right. Give it a go. Honestly.
Yeah.
If I actually talk about how I got to the team in Germany, I would say not complete nepotism, but I got given a really, really good entry through a very good referral. And I used to think about that as like, I don't know if it's direct nepotism, but it definitely helped me.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with any football
That is true.
opportunity, isn't it? Well, that's life. It's like your relationships and your
Mm,
networking, which I think I really believe that regardless of what you do, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. In let me expand on that because I know you disagree. Is like in terms of the character you bring.
okay.
So like if you're lazy in a job that you think doesn't matter, you don't know where that person will be in 25
Okay.
years
Yep.
that you're working with. And I think like it's almost like you're always putting more evidence to your reputation.
Yep.
And that's why it's so important to make sure that you turn up in whatever you do.
Yeah. I, I'm glad that you prefaced that I don't agree with you because I am surprised that actually you remembered that. But yeah, I think that you still
I do listen to
yeah,
you
that's
sometimes.
I appreciate it. Because just so you know,
And if imagine I hopped off the call just then.
you better watch the YouTube video at least. Jeez,
Yeah.
I've only watched it 3 times, so you know, just
Yeah.
doing my part. Um, but yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. I think that the way that you do one thing is if you care about something enough and you do that, one way, and you care about something to the same level or even more, you probably do it a similar way. But like, for example, I am very disciplined with, training, everything like that, business, but I couldn't care less about something else because I realized that the more I care on the things that don't matter so much, then it will impact the things that I do care about a lot. Therefore,
Yeah, I would agree with
yeah,
that. But it's not about like your time investment. I would say it's how your character, how you bring
yeah,
it. Like if you have to do that, you may as well be the person that you are
yeah,
that is going to like in the rest of your
good
endeavors.
point. Yeah, like if I had enough time to make my bed every single day and really, really make it nicely and, have a really beautiful looking room, although,
Yeah.
um, that was crazy. Uh, if I could, then I would make it look really nice, but it does the job.
but no one's looking at your room, so it's okay.
Well, now they are because that's literally my pillow behind me. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right. Okay, so the next, and also look at the time, bro. We just this has just been one topic about privilege.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, actually, this is a
Did
really
you
interesting
find
one.
your? Oh, you found your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
topic,
It
did
was
you?
in
Well
my
done.
in my reminders. One of the brilliant thoughts that I have on the way home from driving in Sydney. So
Brilliant is a loose
yeah,
term, but yeah, it's one of the thoughts.
insightful. Um,
Okay, we'll go with that.
okay, so one of the interesting. Oh, damn! This actually direct. Oh, yeah. I just said that it directly correlates to what you've written, and I just remembered that. Yeah, that's because you wrote your point after listening to mine.
Okay, then just expand
Yeah,
on it.
so let's just expand on it. So, actually
Yeah.
making the cream of the crop rise is really difficult, and that's a saying that Jack and I always used to say was, we hope that the cream of the crop will rise, but will it? Do we know if it will or not? Well, in our case, I mean, quite possibly if Jack and I had actually stayed with football, we could have had, amazing careers. We don't know, but that's a trade-off that we're willing to accept by stopping. But the cream of the crop may not always rise because, you know, the world that we live in is flawed. And the example that I'll give is back to India. It made me think. And imagine you're living in India in a really, really crowded spot and you're just trying to make ends meet or whatever it is. And you've got a business that you're trying to run and you don't know that there's someone in your street who can change the direction of your business, which will then change the direction of your life. And there's millions of people just in your city alone. And someone in your street that you've never met before is that person who could potentially take you upwards from there on. And there's that person everywhere in the world for every single person. There is someone in every single in someone's life who can take them from here
Yeah.
all the way to here. We'll just never know about it. And our system is flawed and there is no solution to this. It's just how it is. But
So you're just providing problems with no solutions, are you?
is that not what life is? Is that not what life is?
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think that the solution is And actually, kind of like the nepotism point, it's like, try this way, but fall back on this way. Try and do the most that you can. Try and, live every day to the fullest and try and, turn that luck into your favor. But fall back on just logical things if need be, right? Like if all of my businesses weren't to work, then at least I've got the video editing and the graphic design and whatnot that I can fall back on. But I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that the businesses do work. But worst case scenario, I fall to the processes of my system, which is what I'm currently doing right now as that quote unquote backup.
Yeah. And that's I think it's you represent what my point before with your character is you representing your systems so that and that's like the example you gave with your neighbor could be the one that could change your life. If you are that type of person, or like, you never know where their path goes. And then if you are that person that aligns with your values and your systems and your hard work, they will think of you. They're more likely to reach out and be like, okay, Nick had this idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost, it will work in your favor just by like consequence.
Yeah. That actually brings me on to the next point, which was framing. And I think that the least productive thing that you can do is frame something as being unproductive and not think about it in a productive manner. And that's because I think that anyone can do anything that is productive at any point in time. And whether it's, doing a dump for 20 minutes, whether it's driving a car for 7 hours, whatever it is, I actually think that anything can be productive enough if you frame it in a productive way. So the example that I try and reframe for myself is I hate driving the 2 hours on the way home on a Wednesday from work, and I hate driving on the 1 hour and a half on the way up on a Monday. But if I reframe it in a positive way to where I'm thinking, and actually I don't like to say positive because I wouldn't say it's even positive, but I would reframe it in a way to where this is a great time for me to actually think about all of the random thoughts that come in my head. And that's also an extension of the truth, delusional, and also hyper-rationalizing, but it's better than thinking about it in a negative way and a waste of time only, because it goes against my narrative. And also for the people who are hyper-rationalizing every bad thing that happens to them to be a good thing, that's also not a good thing. Because like if I was to say, going to a party and wasting half my day tomorrow because I'm like hungover or whatever is a great learning experience, well, it's actually not. It's very unproductive. Don't get me wrong, framing it in a good way is better than framing it in a bad way, but you still have to take actions to change. For my example, I can't really change what I'm doing because it's where my job is.
Yes.
It's just something that I have to be okay with as a consequence.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think but going back to your example, how do people who don't have let's say, go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, who don't have even like, they're working on the foundational parts of their life that they need to survive, how do they come to that awareness to reframe it?
Yeah.
And is that why the system's flawed?
Good point, because I guess the kids in Africa who are, needing a bit of water, and I say that tongue in cheek because isn't Africa, they've got like quite a lot of water? I don't know, I've seen jokes about that where we always say that we need to send kids water in Africa, and then there's just videos of them in TikTok like wasting water, like way too much. But I don't know if that's like, maybe that's just
that's what you do. That's what they're doing with your water.
I send it over in cardboard boxes. But I think wait, we should probably let's just use that saying as an actual saying here. Like, guess what? If there are kids in Africa who really do, need a lot of water and they're surviving and they need that water and it's their number one need, then guess what? Self-development or anything in that retrospect has nothing to do with their needs right now. They just need the water to make sure they survive.
Yeah.
Puts it in perspective.
No, it is fair. It is fair enough.
Yeah. The reframing part. So I guess, have you got any ideas or have you got any moments, Jack, in your life where you've had to reframe a specific time in your life, event in your life, period of time where, repetitive things, maybe even driving to the Central Coast from Sydney every morning when you'd have to wind the windows down, blast the music, put the AC on to make sure you don't fall asleep. Were you able to reframe that in any specific way to where?
That was the example I was going to give, and how I didn't reframe it to my advantage.
Interesting.
Yeah. And if I had thought of it as if I listen to a podcast and what I'm learning in that and how much I'm learning and challenge myself in that way. And I saw it as what it was, a long drive to the Central Coast at 4:45 in the morning. And I think that was true, but believing what is useful is more important than believing what's true. And I think you can, and it is valuable. Like, what I have reframed is, last year I had a bowel operation. My bowel flipped and detached. And so I was in hospital for over a week. And then for the next few months, I couldn't really walk or anything. And that is an objectively negative thing to happen, but kind of having to go through fears of that, when I was in hospital, and kind of build my way back up, and what I've learned from that, and your gratitude for health. I now look back at that as a positive thing. I'm sort of happy it happened because of what I gained from it. And I always think with reframing is a good kind of summary of that is, if you can feel bad for no reason, why not feel good for no reason?
That's a clip.
Yeah.
That was good. that is a really good point. And it's really interesting, Jack, to look at our journeys and look at how similar they were. And I said this when we were in Bondi as well together. It's we played for the same football teams. He leaves Germany. Sorry, he leaves the UK. I leave Germany. We're back in Australia.
It's almost as if you're following me, let's be honest. I did it all first.
You did do it first. You did. Yeah, actually, even at MacArthur Bulls, you did it first.
Even North Shore, wasn't I at North Shore
you
first?
You were. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was at Coast first.
Yeah.
And then Bulls first.
You were. It's like a 6-month delay. It's literally just like a 6-month delay.
Oh, no, you went to Europe before
I think I went a day before you or something like that, wasn't it? It was maybe it was a few days before.
Maybe I planted the seed in your head. That's probably why.
Crazy. I had that seed planted from day one. Gosh. Okay, no. So, yeah, we have had a lot of interesting... And the point was when you had the health issues when you got back from Australia, it was the exact same story with me. And it taught us very, very valuable things. And it was so uncomfortable to go through. I could imagine when you were back home doing it with your family and everything that was going on at the time, it would have been, actually, I said this to you so often, I remember. I said, when it rains, it pours. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it does.
And then I gave that advice. No, not advice, but I said that to you. And then guess what? When it happens to me 6 months later, it poured.
Yeah.
It poured. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But it is such a useful skill, I think, cognitively reframing your situations to your advantage.
Yeah.
And I think how I do that is I'll try journal my subconscious thoughts as well, so that before they become aversive negative thoughts that you are that are actually detrimental to your life.
Yeah.
Almost trying to prevent that.
Yeah. That is very difficult to do, and it takes a lot of awareness to do so, and actually to make it happen is also very difficult to do. But I think that we can also actually speak about that in another episode, which is how we deal with these things, because that's a very interesting topic that I've spoken about a little bit before, but I think we can definitely go into a little bit more as well.
Yeah? For sure.
All right. Well, I think we can call that an episode, because a bit more to come from this topic. Very, very good to have Jack on for this episode. Jack, it just feels so normal, bro. It just feels so normal.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's sick.
No, it's awesome. It is awesome.
I'm actually so excited to have you on, Jack. And additionally, make sure you check out the website, Jack. I don't even know if I've sent this to you yet, but if you go search up sculpted.site, / I think it is, and then just podcast, you can see the new website. A little intro to Jack there if you want to understand who he is a little bit more. And yeah, pretty cool things coming soon, hopefully. So thank you very much.
For sure.
Jack, it was awesome. And let's do it again next week.
Nah, awesome, mate. Easy.
Perfect. Well, catch you in the next episode, guys. All right. Perfect, man. Bye.